So the next step for you is to tap into maybe just freestanding house market, and the next one up is duplex or townhouses market. And then you can utilize your own project to actually build up your portfolio as well. Because it's your own project, you're your own boss. You can leverage on your own strength, being the designer, the architects, the interior design. Yeah, I've seen a lot of architects actually just utilizing one single project, and they push really hard on social marketing on a particular design features within that job, and their architect's firm, the revenue just took off, like in the space of 6 months. Before they took off, yeah, everyone know them, they're around, they're doing this sort of stuff, but until to a level that they kind of had a project of their own. Because with the client's project, you're always bound by what client wants and doesn't want. And as an architect, not all of your ideas will be implemented and be accepted by your client, right? This guy, when they got a project of their own, they went on it really hard. There's a lot of features, a lot of design features, architectural, designs came into place. Yes, it's a little bit expensive, but not that expensive. And my God, the amount of marketing he does with, standard social medias, but also magazines and whatnot. My advice is you might need to lower down the acquisition cost a little bit so you have more in the back end. And that back end money, you can do the design yourself. There's barely any cost for you on a DA or CDC. So you could just buy a property where you can keep the house and renovate it with minimum budget. The key to everything is really finding the right block of land with a house and be able to execute that strategy. The market research, or being able to see, even if it's on the market deal, yes, it's on the market, but if you don't see the value in it, you don't know 2 years ago, the same property on the same street went for, 950. Now they're advertising another one for 850. Well, that's a good value for money, but if you just look at that ad on itself, it actually doesn't make a lot of sense until you dig down into the details about the histories of that street. And that's where I came in handy, because if you say to me you got $1 million, there's a duplex or single house with a similar strategy would work at $1 million market at about 750 to 850. I would recommend a brand new build in the backyard, keeping the house, as opposed to you spend 400 grand trying to renovate that house, because it will never sell it for around 1.5, 1.6. Whereas in the more affordable range, you could sell it easily because you're creating something new. I think the higher end of market works, but you need to build your portfolio up to get there. And that might be, if you do one of these ones, so say about 12 months, if you can do 12-month turnaround or a year and a half turnaround in a space of 3.5, 4 years, you would have done 3 of these. And each one of them you would have got at least 150 to 250. If the market really does all the heavy lifting for you, you'd be looking at 250 and above for each single project. Because you kept the house, which will be sold at a discounted price because they have no backyard anymore. But the one you built in the backyard is actually valued a lot more. The one in the backyard is brand new, high rental yield. You can rent it out as 2 rentable doors. It's going to be very attractive for a lot of investors because all they look at is rental yield, nothing else. Yeah, all around New South Wales, obviously, if the area doesn't stack up, I wouldn't be spending too much effort in it. So part of my service is you give me a rough idea of what your serviceability and cash requirement, cash position is, and you tell me how much of the acquisition price you wanted to stick around with. And then we'll work out, okay, would you like to go just with random flip, or you actually wanted to do what I just mentioned? Or maybe, a few years down the track would be a different story, but it just depends on what you think is something that worth your while doing, and then we can find that sort of style of property for you. And I will lend you a property that you can keep and put another house in the backyard, and you can do the DAs and designs, all that yourself. The next meeting we're going to have is I'll bring you my buyer's agency agreement. It will say This property needs to have a house at the front, and it will have potential to be divided into two properties, a house in the backyard and a front house, and two of them actually sits on a separate title by the time it's all complete. So we have all the parameters that we worked out in there, and then I'll source that property for you. So anything I brought to you, I will get my architects, town planner to have a look. They will go, okay, we need to check these things out. We might need to order a flood study. At that stage, it will be some sort of look at section 10.7, making sure there's no flood, there's no bushfire, and all that sort of stuff to stop the development. And then you go, okay, that's actually the property I wanted to purchase. Then off we go. Or I might have something, look, this is a little bit out of your range, but would you like to consider it? Well, generally speaking, I would find people a site from the day we have the deposit paid. It wouldn't go anything more than 4 to 6 weeks. You can also get a great deal, as in a bargain, if you purchase on the market as well. Off market sometimes would work, but on the market works as well. If you go onto my website, on the home page, there's a property like a duplex with a pitched roof. Half balcony is rendered, the other half is aluminium balustrade. That property, we sourced the site on the market. It's on the market, it's about 2 years ago, but it's actually $250,000 less compared to a similar house sold on the same street, just about 5 blocks up from where we are, and it's on the market. I saw the advertised price, I knew there's a story behind it. If you were to look at yourself, you wouldn't want to investigate any further because you don't have the historical knowledge on the same street. If I see something, I'd go, okay, historically, the same house sitting on a 720 square meter block sold for 1.45. Now this property, now they're advertising for 1.15. Now I go, okay, people want to have a fire sale. I went back to the agent and asked why it's the case. They said it's just personal reasons. Terry, put your best case forward and we'll go from there. I go, all right, I want to have a price reduction of blah. And they will go, I'll consider it. And a couple of days later, they come back saying, Terry, they want to sign the contract today. Can you do it today? That was it. The problem is my value is to find a property suitable for your scenario, and it has to be a good purchase. Most of the time, people will just buy property if it's a decent price. Like it's not too high, it's not too low, it's just the right price. It's the right price for the buyer, it's the right price for the seller. This is how the market operates. But in some cases, people have their personal circumstance changed. They want to go a little bit lower. They knew if they put the price point there, it's going to attract people who understand that market. My strength is I will know the market so well in a few areas, and it become, okay, I saw the price straight away, I go, this is $200,000 less than the market a year and a half ago. But the same ad, you look at it, you wouldn't think that way because you don't have time to dig down to do the research on every single properties that is out there, let's just say in 10 council areas. So we need to work out, would you like to project manage the builder, or would you like to own a builder to build it? If you're just doing the planning work, the property can be anywhere. So it's just a matter of, if you happen to be in the area that I'm operating in as well, then things will be very easy because we're talking about Shell Harbour, Shoalhaven, Kiama, Central Coast, Newcastle. So any area around that kind of vicinity, we're talking about within 2 hours drive. But if you say to me, I just wanted to be intentionally out of that area, we can do that as well. If you saying to me, I wanted to be the owner builder, well, then you want to be as close to where you live. So all of that, let's factor in to that buyer's agency briefing. So I know where to look for. Or if you have any particular area, or maybe you have a builder that you want to try and on or build a relationship with, you just let me know the area. We can fine-tune the area accordingly. Why don't you just hire a builder to do the job, fixed price contract? If you happen within the area that I operate in, I can give you references. so you don't have to learn and deal with people that you don't know of. So that's the benefit of in the agency agreement to be within the area that I already have a lot of building contractors with. Just suitable for the market. It's not gonna be fancy, flashy. So obviously, rental is the least efficient strategy to utilize your capital from a return on investment perspective. The next one up is you bulldoze the house, a duplex on it straight away.
Yeah.
And then the next one up is you bulldoze the whole thing and then triplex or 4 townhouses, right? But that's a few years down the track. You're gonna get there. So the more efficient it gets, the higher the return there is. Don't forget, when you sell the old house, you barely pay any GST on your sales price. You understand when the builder put a duplex up for sale, they actually pay margin scheme GST. But just so like you sell anything, roughly speaking, the same principle applies to duplex and any new dwellings. But the old dwelling, you don't have to pay for it when you sell.
Yeah.
So that's a benefit. In a lot of cases, if your land size aren't big enough for straight out subdivision, they will ask you to put through a building in the backyard first before they let you subdivide. But they will give you consent for everything to be done in one go. So what that means is you push through a consent which allow you to build another house in the backyard. Once you got your OC, they let you do the subdivision. Once subdivision is done, you can have 2 separate titles. You have to meet council's requirement for that to take place. And guess what? People before us have kind of exhausted that kind of block of land in a lot of areas. So what's being left over, so say, 1/10 of the property in the whole New South Wales will be able to do the strategy you just mentioned. It could be torrents, it could be strata. It really depends on the development application and the assessment officer at the time and where the sewer runs, where's the stormwater going to be dealt with. Are they sharing the driveways? Blah, blah, blah. There's a whole suite of things that matters will dictate whether it's torrents or strata. Don't be too specific about that because it's only in the premium range market people care it's a strata or torrents. Not saying the lower end of town people don't care, but there's not a lot of choice for them to choose from. You could well end up with a strata title, but guess what? There's no strata manager. Or the strata will just be, 2 neighbors. You're gonna have a pre-approval on your acquisition loan first, right? Then the second part is you're gonna have the construction loan if you want to have a construction loan on the build as well. Obviously, that depends on how long the bank will take to assess your serviceability, blah, 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 back and forth with the bank and mortgage broker. That could take time as well. But let's just say 1.5 to 2 years, you should be able to finish it off because we're not building anything fancy, flashy. It's all single level. And things can be worked on. Okay, do I want a cladding build? Do I want a brick veneer build? Do you want a scaling roof or do you want a traditional gable roof? Is it going to be concrete roof tiles? Is that going to be color bond? We can chop and change and make decisions down the track to influence the construction cost as well. So I can reference builder to you, I can project manage to you down the track, but you don't have to use me because getting the site is the most crucial part. Understanding you're going to be able to execute that strategy is the most important. Once you have the land, you have a lot of options. Once you have approvals, all the builders would love to talk to you. Without anything, the builder will just, I just don't want to talk to you about it. That's what I found most of the time because they are flying on their jobs. They don't want to spend a single second on people who haven't even bought, or even if you bought it, they're gonna ask you, have you got approval yet? If you got, I'm still working, I'm sorry, see you next week. That's just how they operate. We've got about a handful builder spread across to Newcastle. We have a 5-pack townhouse just approved last year, waiting for the market to come back and we'll start build. We had a couple 1 to 2 lot subdivision up in Newcastle, Central Coastway. We have about 6 duplex sites down in South Coast. We've finished 7 projects over the last 10 years, between 1 to 2, 1 to 3, triplex and townhouses. The builder, the contacts, the architects or the draftsmen, stormwater engineer or your structural engineer, all the consultants are in place. It's just a matter of finding the right sites. Think about it this way. You're on a journey to get into that premium market range, right? Potentially building up your own, architectural firm, be able to advertise and all that. What's really crucial to get started, because the most scarce resource is our time. Every bloody project take a year and a half, 2 years to complete. Guess what? How many 2 years we're gonna have for the rest of your life? What I'd say is this: grab what you can where possible. Yes, there's gonna be problems down the track, but you're gonna resolve it with the cars that you already have. If you don't get it now, I can guarantee you 3 months down the track, they're talking about there will be a possibility to have a rate cut in April. We will be in April in 3-4 days time, right? That's only a probability of having the rate cut, but they kind of saying it's deemed to happen to have a rate cut in May. Think about what the general market will think once they had the third rate cut. Everyone will be rushing into the market. So right now, I think at least put your foot on the property. I'm not rushing you to settle on it. A lot of times settlement can be worked with the real estate agent. So if the agent can smell that you're gonna be, someone they want to work with on a continued basis, so long as you deliver what you said you're gonna deliver, they're gonna give you a lot of leeways. I'm not saying they will give you, but they're gonna be put you into that my favorite person pocket instead of my least just standalone regular mom and dad pocket, right? If you're in that pocket, you could ask for just 5% deposit, or you can ask for reduced deposit rather than just standard 20% or 10%. You could ask for 2-month settlement. Standard settlement is 6 weeks. 2 months is only another 2 weeks extension. Maybe ask them for 3. So by the time you have your approval and everything else in place, you might be ready to build. If you're not ready to build, you're gonna have an additional 3 months to muck around with your construction loan. So standard mortgage broker, if that doesn't work out for you, you could potentially look at non-bank lenders. So the most crucial part, let's just recap. You get into the market, you have something on your hands that you can show people that I want to make it work. If you're just saying I want to make it work, but they go, have you got anything? You go, no, I haven't, but I'm looking. Well, if you're looking, you're going to keep looking for the next 2-3 months. They don't know it, so they don't take you seriously. Even if they have a solution for you, they don't want to talk about it because you haven't got anything for them to look at. I've been working on the whole development stuff for the last 10 years. So first call is always your own broker, your own accountant, your own mortgage broker, your own everything on those personal financial stuff to get you started. But if you do need help down the track or referrals, I'll be happy to put you through to someone. I know there's a lot of people out there wanting to have one thing done, finalized, finished first before they do next thing. But right now, the market is already start boiling up because people react just based on the news. So if I see something come through, you'll be able to hold them for about, standard cooling off is just 5 days. But if we can hold them for 2 weeks, that'd be the time frame you need for your refinance. So you could have a deal comes in a lot quicker just before that surf bring up the market prices.